Thanks for joining Woodworking Masterclass. I'm Steve and welcome to my workshop. This series we're making a period style side table with cabrioled legs and dovetailed drawers. And so far it's come along quite well. If you've missed any episodes, go back to 31digital.com.au and you can watch any previous ones you may have missed. Or, if I went a little bit too fast for you, you can watch it again. For more information, by all means go to woodworkingmasterclass.com and I've got some more details there and a breakdown of some of the jobs that I do. I encourage any emails you have, if you have any ideas you'd like to see in the show or future shows, or if you've got any comments or just want to say good day, that's fine, and I personally answer all emails. steve@woodworkingmasterclass.com. Anyway, this is part 2 of making cabriole legs. So Frank, I hope you're happy. Frank really wanted to know how to make cabriole legs. So this is part 2. Last week, we cut out a leg and we started to shape it using spoke shaves, rasps, and just before the end of the episode, I introduced the bow sander. When I'm at about this stage, then I want to put the ears on, which really make the cabriole leg distinct. To do that, we've got one more template we have to make. The first part we made a leg template, and the second part we made the ear template. Not even the dog wants to know me. Look at that, he's walked away. Now we have to make a dowel template so we can line up the dowel holes here and with the ears. Now to do that, just get an old scrap of MDF or plywood and make sure it's square and line up the top and the back section like that of the leg. And then, sorry I'm left-handed if you can't see this, just scribe an arc and mark in there. It was a good pencil. We'll try that again. Scribe an arc, that's better, to there. Okay, now go on a bandsaw or coping saw, whatever you choose, and you cut that out. And you end up with this arrangement. Now that follows the contour of the knee. And if you put it on here, you'll see it centralises 3 dowel points. So you work out where you want your dowels to go, put marks, mark it on your bit of scrap, and then just drill them out. And we'll use that for the ears and also the legs. Okay? Now, if you have a doweling machine, at this stage, when I've got the leg to that stage, I'd put it on a doweling machine. If you're going to use a drill press, then before you even cut the leg out, you must drill your dowels first, because then you've got planes that you can work on and it's not curved. All you do to mark out, so for example we've drawn a leg here, so this is where their leg's going to be. Chalk that up to the side, get an awl or something sharp, just push in there, and there are your dowel points. Flip it over, flip your jig over, and there it is. The same with that block that we cut off, if you saw last episode. That's the block that's going to house your ears. Mark it. And then be careful to mark diagonally opposite, because if you flip it over this way and mark 3 holes, you'll end up with 2 right-handed ears. So you flip it and it's the opposite angle, and you'll mark those. Now, as I said, if you're using a drill press, use a drill press now. But if you haven't and you've got a doweling machine and you're at that stage, now we're going to drill some dowels. All right? I've got my wings, which I'll cut out in the bandsaw and dowel, and I've got my leg, I'm going to dowel that. Just trace out with the template that you used. Now on the bandsaw, using the same blade, very gently, once again, start up the bandsaw and cut the wings out. Got to be a little bit careful here because you're coming into a fairly steep angle, and if you're a little bit unsure, make sure you leave a nice lot of waste, because it's much easier to remove waste than it is to try and build the surface up again. Okay, same on the other one. Just make sure to keep your fingers
well away from the blade. That's just about it. Okay, you've got 2 wings. A right and a left. Next stage, we'll dowel them. There's no set process, but I always start with the lower dowels first, and as I mentioned before, only go in half the distance of the upper dowels, because if you go too far, when we shape that leg, that curvature will actually expose the dowel, which looks a bit ugly. Now that's done, reset your machine, wind the head up or the table down, depending how your machine works. Line it up with the marks that we made with the little aug. I use brad point drills so I can get a very accurate sizing and placement of where I want the dowels to go. And that's it. I've reset the depth and just push those in. And they're all going to be at the same height. So if I'm doing a set of 4 legs, I will actually do all the legs and all the ears all in the same settings. So then I know they're all going to line up properly. It's important too to make sure that there is no waste between your fence and the job you're actually boring. That maintains the accuracy of the dowels. So with those done, we'll put some dowels in.
Thanks for coming back. I hope you came back. I'd hate to be doing this with no one watching. It's awfully lonely. Okay, just before the break, what we did, we we bored the dowel holes in the leg, and also we cut out an ear on the bandsaw and we've doweled that. And don't forget, when you're doing this bottom one in the ear, it can't be as deep. I can't emphasise that enough, because as I said before, if you did it the same depth as these, what happens when you sand this to marry in with the leg, you're going to sand through and a big hole's going to appear, which we don't want. All right, now let's put it together. I've got some dowels. I buy lengths of dowel because it's cheaper, but if you can buy packets of dowel. We would need 1 short dowel and 2 longer dowels, and you get the length of your dowel, put a pencil in there. That's how long it is in there. It's the same on the others, so bring your dowel in just a little bit shorter than your maximum width. As a rule, I use hide glue for those people that know me, but in this circumstance, I've got to use a PVA, which works just as well. All right, now just sort that glue around. Marry it around the face. Then get a bit of, what have we got? A bit of scrap timber. I like double gluing. And make sure you get a good coverage. Say thanks to Jeff Hanna for that one. Okay. So we put a bit more glue in here. And the little one. Put in there. Now just tap it in. And remember when you can tell when it's home because it goes clunk. And be careful of that because it'll come out that hole and score you if you're not careful. Remember when I cut the leg, I said to keep that bit spare. I'll show you what that's for. This is how we fit them in. Remember, squirt bottle of water. It's the cheapest woodworking tool you're ever going to buy. Squirt in here, squirt on the back. Now, pick up the right one, it'll help. There we go. Now that's going to line up with that. Okay, there's a bit of glue in here. Geez, I'm pleased I didn't fit that one, it would have looked horrible. And put some glue over the face. make sure you get it right up to the edge. Because what we want is a nice, crisp join where the leg actually meets the ear. Actually, if you've got a little brush, it's most likely better than your finger. Hey, one for the laundry lady. Okay, now what you do is you take this bit of offcut, put it on the knee like that, just start the dowels in, then we sprayed this with water, and it's a question of putting your glasses on and just pulling that in on the vise. Make sure it goes in nice and even and it goes home. That's it. All the way. Careful it doesn't spring out on you. And there you have it. Make sure it's nice and flat there. Just give it a bit of a twist. You've got a nice firm join in here, and it's a crisp join down there. So when it's dried, you've got one that looks like this. You fit the second one exactly the same way. Only you'll notice that we've got a dowel that's come through here, so we have to drill that out. Use a 3/8 bit or 10mm bit, whatever your dowels are. Drill that out. And then we'll do the same process again. Glue in. Double glue. Whoops. Nearly made the mistake I told you not to do. Shows we're all human, doesn't it? There you go. Make sure the little one goes in the bottom. Knock those so they're home. There we go. And get the other ear. Bit of glue, bit of glue, bit of glue. Spread it around. You get the idea, it's just got to cover the whole surface. A lot of people don't like using a lot of glue. I would prefer to use too much glue and clean up than not use enough glue and have a joint fail on me. Same scenario. Get our block, squirt of water in the vise, pop it in there, and then just tease it in and whack a bit of pressure on it. Not too much, but it has to be firm. Make sure it's flush with the top. Got a nice tight seal in here. Have a bucket of water here somewhere. There we go. Just get the glue off whilst it's wet, saves cleaning up later on. All right. Now we've got a cabriole leg with two wings. What we've got to do now is bandsaw this waist off. You can use a spoke shaver, you could use a draw knife or a hand plane, but really a bandsaw is a lot quicker. So I'll just bandsaw this off and I'll be back. Welcome back. Just before the break, we attached the ears to the cabriole leg and we bandsawed the waist away, and I've got a 45-degree square and just marked a line there. Now what I want to do is plane that down to suit the profile of the knee on both sides. How I do that, get a spare bit or a bit of waste from the ears, or you can sacrifice a bit, that fits in like so. And again, use the trusty water bottle. squirt of water, squirt in the vise. Now, it's important to know which way the grain's going on the ear. In this case, it's going that way, so I'll plane away from myself. Ouch! That hurt. Always telling me grandkids not to do that. Ooh. Now, with a plane or a spoke shave or a draw knife, it's just a matter of planing that down to the line. And again, get the candle grease out. Be careful of this tip here. So always go up there because you don't want to break that out. There we go. And just roll with the profile on the knee. Careful not to go over this line. And then just come up. When you get pretty close to finishing, I'll change over to a block plane. And then you can continue that curve along. And again, trust your fingers. It's a bit of a ridge there. They haven't got long to go. And I'll just come down to that pencil line. And it's just one of those things it's like juggling. You can learn how to do it, but it's very hard to tell someone how to do it. It's a feel thing more than anything else. Okay, and if you have a look at that, hold it up to the camera, you can see I've got a nice smooth round over on that, and it's up to the line. So what I do now is grab some 100 grit paper, pop it in there again, some 100 grit, sanding block. With sanding blocks, I generally cut about 3/8 off and put a solid piece of plywood on there. That way, I'm guaranteed a flat surface if I'm sanding something flat, say with marquetry or something. But in this case, I want to use the cork because I want it to bend with the shape. And you sort of go in a curve, because if you go straight across, you're going to mark the knee, but if you go straight up like that, you're going to mark the wing. So at the moment, we just want to feather it all in together. So it's a bit of a compromise, if you like, a half and half. We start with 100 grit, because that'll give us our shape. All right. And once we've got all those lines married up, sorry, what I should do, instead of blowing, bad habit to blow, get a paintbrush. Just move it off like that, much gentler. And then I go from 100 through the grits down to about 320. That's not my finishing grit, but it's what I do to get a good shape on the legs. Because what you do, once you've got your original shape with 100 grit, then all the other bits of sandpaper we're doing are taking the scratches from the previous grade. So with this is 150, I'm removing the scratches left by the 100 paper. So you'll find as you go through, it becomes easier and easier and quicker. The next I go to is 180. I mean, some people might go from 150 straight to 240, but hey, I've got the paper, might as well use it. I just find it's easier if you can do it in increments. Now I've got some 220. Now, if this was field of vision, you'd actually feel that that is very, very smooth. This is 240. And really, I could stop there. I was going to 320, but I think that's a bit of an overkill. Now, what I do to marry this part, remember I said with the ear, I have mine a little bit longer than where it fits. And that's because I want to smooth that radius in and blend it together. Now, if you've got a belt sander, you can use the end pulley of the belt sander and hold it this way. I don't particularly like doing it that way because the sanding cylinder itself is very hard and you get bounce. What I use is a pneumatic bobbin sander on a grinder, which I'm not allowed to do this because it's going to wreck the cameras, they tell me. But you just gently feather it in. You can see that's starting to sand in. So what you're looking for when you've finished is a nice smooth radius of the ears and the leg, and to have them meet on this corner here. So you haven't got one right up here and one there. So it's nice and even. So when looking at the leg, it's in balance, either profile. Now it's just a matter of getting back to the F-clamp and working the leg with spoke shave, with bow sander, with rasps, and gradually keep going until your hand can feel that's nice and round, and when you hold it up, it looks balanced. Look at that. Slack. And by the time it's finished, you should have a nicely balanced leg. And then make sure that this is flat up here. If you need to, use a spoke shave to flatten it off. And as I said before, if you need any more information, just give me an email and I'll try and help you the best way I can. But sand all the way through to about 400 and you'll have a beautiful leg. Repeat it 4 times and you'll have a beautiful table. So next week, it's time to put it all together, to put the legs on, to put the drawers in, to fit it up, and do what other little magical things we've got planned. Thanks for sticking with me so far, but once again, it's Steve pulling the shed door down, saying thanks for being with me. Remember to keep it sharp, but more importantly, keep it safe. Bye for now.